guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to test out the Colorit pencils. I've been playing with them for probably about a day, so that's why they're kind of all over the place and used. Now, so far, I'm pretty happy with what I've experienced. They're not upper level art pencils. They are excellent beginner pencils. They have enough of an array of color that I'm getting some really nice things. Now, I haven't finished a full picture yet because I'm kind of testing out different colors, and some pictures are just not going to have those colors. So I'm going to try doing this ball, and I'm going to use the browns because it's like a nest, and we'll see how I do. Now, this ball actually is an excellent way for you guys to learn shading. It's a really good textured ball, and you could practice your highlights in it. Now, wherever the ball goes round in the high points, you're going to have a highlight. But because this ball has so many things going on top of it, it's going to be a challenge because you really need to get the darker colors into where the shaded areas would be. And you can see how I do it in just a minute. Now I started off using gentle brown. These pencils are not triggering my electric sharpener. In fact, I broke off 2 pencils in it because it doesn't fit. They're made for larger pencils, the one that I have. This is perfect. I'm getting a nice sharp pencil point on this, so I'm really happy it came with it because I probably would not have had a good sharpener to use these pencils. And right now I'm just doing the really darkened areas. I'm going to use the pencil that looks like goldenrod for the highlighted areas. I'm going to kind of make this ball gold. And we'll see how it comes out. I love doing Celtic knots. When I first started using colored pencils, I practiced with Celtic knots because they're a challenge, just like this ball is a challenge. And your ability to shade the right areas. Now, I watched some comments that rolled in on my first review when I first got it, like the opening of my first impressions of the pencil and what comes with it. And I want to address some of those things that were said because a lot of the negatives, I mean, every pencil said I could say something negative and I could say something positive. Some of the negatives I did experience. One pencil in this set, I did have a split. But in defense of Colorit, I get splits in pencils. They happen. Look how badly this one is. And this is nothing like the split that I had in the wood on the Colorit pencil. And this is a Prismacolor. This went through the entire pencil. And this is a Prisma White. My father had purchased this pencil for me. He had gone to Hobby Lobby for something he needed. And I said, oh, pick me up a white pencil. And I didn't even think to tell him how to check for a good pencil. It happens. But that pencil performed fine. I mean, you would have thought I would have returned it, but I needed white. I didn't feel like going back to the store, and I just said, oh, I'll just deal with it. And I never had a problem with it. It was just a split pencil. So far, I have broken 2 tips off a red pencil here, but I think that's also because I put it in the electric sharpener, and it absolutely did not fit in my electric sharpener. It was a bad choice, so that might have been my fault. I mean, I don't want to jump to any sort of conclusions on it until I get a really good feel for these pencils. And I'm getting there. Every pencil has a different feel to it. And how this pencil blends and, is different than other pencils. Just like, my Holbeins blend differently than my Prismas. My Derwents perform differently than my Polychromos. Every pencil set is different. As far as color saturation goes, I think that's the best part of this pencil is I'm getting really good coverage with it. I mean, look, that's only one layer, and look how dark it is. The pencils are definitely lasting. I don't have to sharpen them as often as I do Prismas. Okay, I'm going to switch on to Hyperlapse because this is going to take me quite a long time before I'm ready to switch over to my next pencil. So to avoid any issues of running out of time, I have to this is going to take me several hours, and I have to condense it down to 20 minutes to a half hour. That's not always easy. So I'm going to switch you over to Hyperlapse, put on some music, and you guys can chill or skip over. How many of you people skip? I'm a skipper sometimes. I try to find the pertinent points of people's color alongs, their color blends. Was that a bad thing that I just said I'm a skipper? But then again, I'm a skipper on everything when it comes to... I'm a channel hopper. Okay, let me put on the music. Okay, I'm going to switch it over to their dark gray, which is called Distinguished... What does that say? Distinguished Gray. And this is, when I swatched it out, this was a dark French gray, probably around 70 to 90% French gray. And that will match up with the brown. I just need to put this color into the points. You might not even notice it where I'm putting it, but it's not going to be a main color. It's kind of like a shadow color. And it's just going to go into all the little areas that I want it to look recessed. And I call these like my little arrows, where you want 2 points that come together, forming that point of a triangle. Uh-oh. Ooh. Okay. Okay, so I did have another tip break. So I've done 3 pictures so far, and I've had 4 tip breaks. I wouldn't call that a problem just yet. Okay, I'm switching over to the pencil that looks like goldenrod, and that is C22, and it's called Autumn Copper. And this is not going to be my final highlight, but I'm closing in on that highlight. So it's going to be a lot of this. I'm going to start working with 2 different colors because it's just going to be better that way. You have to work out where your highlights are going to go. And remember, we talked about the direction of a highlight. Now, if you could see it on the barrel of this pencil, you see how the highlight is going straight down the middle? It's never going to change. It's going to go straight down the middle, whether I'm holding it this way or holding it this way. Okay, I'm never going to have that highlight going across the pencil. Well, it's kind of the same thing that's going on with this. Because of the way the wicker, or whatever it's made out of, the straw, bends, I'm always going to have the highlight going in a certain way. So, say here you have this one. It's like it's like the pencil. The highlight's going to be down the middle. So here, with this one, the highlight's going to go down the middle this way. But now I have this. This is doing a full bend. When it does a full bend, the light is going to hit differently. And the light is going to go the other way. So if I bent this, I would change the way the light hit it. And the light would then cross this way. So for, say, this one that's bending, the light is going to go like this. Okay, this has got a very strong bend in it. Right there. So my highlight's going to go this way. Okay, this has got it going this long. Okay, because it's not bending very hard. So it'll be a little bit thick in the middle, and then we're going to have the highlight go like that. Now, I have a lot of blending to do with this. I'm not done with the blending. This is still in its infancy, this picture, but you're getting an idea of what I'm doing and how I'm working it out. Once I have it all worked out, where the highlights are going to go in what direction, then I will come back and I will put it all together. So it should be interesting. I'm going to hyperlapse. Well, unfortunately, as much as I love the pencils, I'm hoping this isn't a problem. And I'm not sure if it is. I don't know if this is a techniques problem for me in sharpening it, but something's going on. Well, I have to sharpen again. Let's cross our fingers. All right. Okay, it's good. 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 I think I'm beginning to figure it out. I've got a theory. As I was waiting for my camera to charge, I kept going. I couldn't stop. When you're having fun, you're having fun. So I finished up the ball, but it's not complete yet. I have to still shade it. I got the main colors down on it, and I'll shade it at the end. And I started the dragon body. The dragon body, I used these 4 pencils. Calming Yellow, Moonland Green, Country Green, and Distinguished Gray. Now, in Prismacolor terms, it would probably be a cross in between Lemon Yellow and Eggshell. And if you put those two together, you could probably create this color. Olive Green. This is like a grass green. And this is the darkest of the French grays, or maybe a 70%, closer to the darkest. I haven't touched this picture with black yet. For this area, how I did it is I started out with the yellow, moved with the green, the middle green. I blended it into the olive green pencil, and I shaded it with the French gray. It's not complete yet. I was trying not to do everything off camera. So I'm going to continue with this. On the bottom, I left out the yellow, and I just went with the 3 greens so that I can get a darker appearance, and I actually like this very much. And I'm going to do that again on the bottom over here. And I already put down a little bit of the gray, and I'm going to put the middle as the grass green. I'm sorry, I don't know the names of the pencils yet by heart. Okay, then I'm going to pick up my gray again, well, my olive green. And I'm going to get the olive green going in there. And the olive green will act as a bridge color. Remember we talked about bridge colors, when colors don't blend as nicely, that you pick a color that's in between that will soften an edge. Well, with these pencils, I found if you use the bridge method, it works out better. They're not as creamy as Prismacolor, so really bridging your colors is your best bet. And see, that worked. I'm going to add a teeny drop of the yellow just to brighten this up. I think I did it a little bit too dark. And this will slightly brighten it. And I like that. Okay, that seems to match. And now I have the bottom tail part to still do. Now I did the same thing going up here, but I did it a little brighter because the sun would be hitting the chest. But I still want to dull it down slightly. And I'm using my gray to tone it down. And this is why I said in my other video, which color, which pencil set, 48 pencil set, would you run out of the house during a fire? And that would be this one, because the other set didn't have gray. It doesn't do me any good not to have any gray pencils. You can't tint, tone, and shade without your grays. I have a feeling that Prismacolor did that on purpose, because any artist would be driven crazy without their gray. It's a tool. Okay, I like that. Now we're going to go and do the legs, the skin tone on the legs. I'm going to have to think about that for a minute and how I can make that slightly different. And I may just change up my greens. Look on my little cheat sheet here of what I have. The CO45, let's get that out. And these colors are going into your chartreuses. Remember we talked about that? I would consider this like a grassy green, a little bit lighter than the green that I was using. And this is definitely a chartreuse. So I'm going to take those out. I'm going to see what I could do with those. Now, I haven't had any pencil breakage at all when coloring the rest of this. We're going to still have to address the fact that I did lose some tips, that I don't usually break this many pencil points. But I really think that it has a lot to do with the sharpener and not so much the pencil. But I did hear a snap while I was sharpening. And since I can't put these into my, I can't put this into my electric sharpener because it doesn't fit and it's not triggering the motor to go, I'm kind of stuck. Maybe Colorit can address this problem in a video about the pencil point breakage. But it hasn't been bad. It's not, the cores are intact. So it's definitely coming from somewhere. It's giving stress somewhere. And I really believe it's from the sharpener. And it's not that the sharpener is bad, is that you have to hold it in a certain way. Once I started holding it, which the next time I have to sharpen a pencil, I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to just get a nice base color on here. This is going to be much darker when I'm done. Now, while these would be considered, I mean, I hate to even use the word lower end, less expensive pencils maybe. These are not like high-end artist pencils. These are beginner pencils. They're doing a heck of a job. Let me tell you, I've used lower-end pencils and really choked with them. I'm not having that issue with these pencils. It took me a little bit to get the hang of them. Now, that's like, and I was thinking about how I could describe it, and the only way I could describe it is, you know how like you're driving the regular car you usually drive, and then you drive a different car, and the first, 5-10 minutes, you're like jerking with the way the brakes feel, and you're jerking around with, the way the car is driving because you're not used to it. Well, that's kind of like the same thing that happened to me when I was using these pencils. I'm used to using Prismacolor. They're way different. They feel different. They lay down different. So the first, the first little while in doing it, I don't know, time-wise, maybe half a picture worth, I was struggling a little bit with them. But I didn't want to give up. And then all of a sudden, like when you're in a car and you've been driving and all of a sudden you realize you got the hang of the new car and it starts to feel normal. Well, that's the way this is starting to feel with me, is very normal. And that's when I understood the lay down, that it does lay down a little bit differently. So I can't say I'm not happy right now. I would have stopped. When I'm not feeling it, I stop. And just like that picture I did the other day where I said to you guys, I don't want to finish this. I'm not feeling it. This is an example of how I was only going to do the ball, but I'm feeling the picture, and that's a good thing. Okay, I'm just adding a little lighter yellow into it. It's going to get darker. Sorry, I'm bumping around my camera. Now, the paper, I haven't said much about the paper. I really, really like this paper a lot. It's got nice tooth. It's nice and bright white. And it's nice and thick. Oh, I like that. I see I missed a little bit of the browns on the top. I had to figure out which direction things were going in and what things were and how this jewel attached. This is the same material as this, and then sort of you have like a wrap around. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with this yet. The jewel is I think the jewel is going to come out very nice. And maybe making that a ruby. I think I'm feeling ruby on it, because I really want to get through a lot of the colors on here to demonstrate how they react and how they work. So this is getting long. I think I'm going to have to go into hyper. So I'm going to continue with these colors. Toenails are going to be gray and the dark green. I'm going to do the body in the same color patterns and the face, and then we're going to handle the wings. I'm going to show you what I did with some other wings, and then I will be back. Okay, guys, stay tuned for part 2, where you will find out what happened to the pencil point.